Welcome, everybody. It's Compassion and Action time. Today, our special guest is Charlotte Cressey. Charlotte holds an MA in Women's Spirituality. She's a writer, a teacher, a group facilitator, and as she says, a lover of life. She's also been vegan for 26 years. So welcome, Charlotte. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
As Judy mentioned, your work features the vegan paradigm shift. What is that? What is the vegan paradigm shift, and how did it come about?
Thank you so much for asking. So the vegan paradigm shift is a transformation in consciousness which catalyzes the greatest potentialities for yourself and for humanity. And I'd love to share a little bit about how it came about. So it is both something that can happen within an individual. It's a phenomenon I've observed and has probably happened in all of you. And it's also something we can consciously orchestrate and educate others in. And it's also a self-development program I offer, which you can engage in. So how it came about was that generally, well, first of all, I should say that I've been on the path since I was a little girl. A big question of mine has been, how can I help animals? Basically, since I was born. And so I've been observing the animal rights movement, observing the vegan movement. I've been very involved and noticing, when people talk about veganism and quote, being a vegan, they're often talking about the results of the inner shift. Right? So we think about, I don't buy this, I don't eat that. It's a lot about what you don't do in the physical world. But what precedes those choices is a deeper heart stirring and a higher soul calling to relate to life in a new way. And so, of course, as someone who wants to create a vegan world, I have been thinking about and studying all the philosophies to bring together a unified theory to make as many vegans as possible. And I've been asking, okay, so what is the deeper transformation in identity and how I think about myself that causes me to make the choice to be vegan? For example, someone who thinks of themselves as powerless or at the circumstance of what's happening in the world, those are the people who frequently will say, it doesn't matter what I spend my money on, they're gonna kill the animals anyway, right? But for those of you on the call today who make the choice to avoid animal products and be kind to animals intentionally, you make that choice because you feel a sense of empowerment and you feel like I am powerful. I can make a positive difference in the world. So the vegan paradigm shift came out of deep inquiry into what happens in the individual. And then also looking into the future humanity. How can we change all systems, not just the treatment of animals, but how can we revolutionize and bring in the best of the future humanity in every institution, every discipline, down to even architecture. Once people make the shift to the total vegan paradigm shift, so it's not just, oh, I don't eat this, I don't buy this, but it's a new way of relating. Even our architecture is going to change because, for example, you'll be naturally building ramps so that animals don't die in window wells and things like that. So it's a total transformation.
That's amazing. I've never heard it expressed like that before. You mentioned something about a personal development program. How can we get involved in that?
Yeah, well, you can sign up at theveganparadigmshift.com as of August 15th. For right now, you could just contact me because the updated enrollment page is not there yet, but you can sign up for the updates on emails and things like that. But I'd love to share a little bit about how, even if you don't sign up with that, you can just, any of you listening in today, can begin to think about your thought process and how you can catalyze more of this connection in your life. So I've studied in depth with the fabulous Bob Proctor, and something he taught was about our mental capacities. So, we have 7 mental capacities. So we have perception, reason, intuition, will, imagination, and memory. And all of those, I think I held up 6 at 7. Anyway, perception, reason, intuition, will, imagination, memory. So those all of those faculties are things that you use every day. And you can improve all of those mental capacities and clear the lens of the inner glass ceiling of meat eating. By being vegan simply, and also by doing all the practices that everyone here I know is already doing, spending time in nature and taking the time to practice deep listening. Deep listening is one of the keys to catalyzing your greatest potential also.
You mentioned going beyond what you eat, what you buy, as a way to express and live veganism. What do you personally do to involve your vegan philosophy into everyday life? What does a normal day look like for Charlotte Cressey?
Oh, thanks for asking. It can look like lots of things, but I think the main thing is that for me, there is no separation between my veganism and how I live my life. It's really, and I'm sure it's the same for all of you listening in, it's veganism is one expression of my deeper feeling that I just love everyone. I want to help everyone. I love each of you. I'm grateful for each of you. And so as I go throughout my day, I'm always listening to the animals I meet, the people I meet, and the deeper meaning of what it is that I'm experiencing, the synchronicities, and also noticing how can I serve. So noticing people who need me to send some love their way and compliment them, strangers, and also the animals. So one of the, I'd say, major things that makes me different from the average person is my deep connection to the invisible realms. So I know that we live in a participatory paradigm. I know that activism and making a difference in the world is not just about what I do out there that's visible to other humans, but it's really going back to the higher realms and the deeper realms of where creation starts. So it's the thoughts, the feelings, connecting into the subtle realms. And so I do things like putting my hands in the quail prints when I'm out on the trail. So I spend about 800 hours per year, at least, on trails. And I do a lot of conversation with my body and internally with the animals. So, for example, put my hands down on the trail and I connect with that quail family, listen to what they have to teach me. Another thing I want to popularize, so please help me with this, is PDRs, public displays of reverence. How many of you, I can see a lot of you, how many of you have heard of PDAs? Public displays of affection. It's like, are you embarrassed by PDA? Do you like to hug and make out with people in public, right? You all know PDA. So a lot of people are actually embarrassed about PDRs. A lot of people are embarrassed to exhibit their reverence for life when they're out in the world. But I invite you to practice your spirituality publicly and talk to the trees, hug the trees, talk to the birds, listen to every animal. And so that for me, that's really a big part of my activism is I speak out loud to the animals. And not only does that help the animals who are present and what's visible to the humans, but I'm going into the deeper realms, but it's also an education for others. So for example, if I'm doing a prayer for an animal who's died, people will often ask me, I've led people in prayer before as well, where there might be a dead animal and I will randomly convene a group of us to do a prayer, move the animal off the road, things like that. And so I think those are some of the things that I'd love to see all of us practicing more of. And again, it's PDR, public displays of reverence.
You share that reverence for roadkill with our dear Reverend Sarah. She also has a habit of communing with those animals. And also, I want to say something. Your joy is just contagious. I think we can all say, I'm, for one, and I'm a convert to the vegan paradigm shift already. So I'm going to be in contact with you. But what's next for you, Charlotte? What do you see in your future?
Thank you so much for asking. Well, I see heaven on earth for all of us, but in terms of my work in this lifetime, the vegan paradigm shift is what I'm really excited about right now, developing that work, offering the online course and the book to come forward. I'm also offering something for change makers like ourselves called Level Up Your Leadership Destiny that's launching in the new year. And that's for people who want to go deeper, whatever type of social movement you're involved with. If you feel called to bring together your sense of pain around what's happening in the world, along with your unique gifts and special talents, and bring something different to it. Because I think it's really important to know that conformity is the biggest block to heaven on earth. Again, conformity is the biggest block. So being exactly who you are is the most important thing. And so my teachings help you to really discover your unique calling. So I'm excited about that. And as Judy talked about, the Parliament of the World's Religions happening in just a few weeks. I have 5 presentations for that, and we will be celebrating together. We have over 20 presentations as a flock of vegans. And so those are some of the things I'm excited about, and hopefully just getting to know all of you better as well. I feel like I'm just so blessed to be a part of this. Thank you for including me, and I'm so grateful.
Well, we're grateful you're here. One last question, one we like to ask a lot of our guests, is after we leave this meeting, what can each of us do right now, today, to make the world around us a more compassionate place?
I'd say go listen in nature for the answer for you personally.
Mm,
Spending time in nature. I can't prescribe one blanket answer to everyone, but just it'll come to you.
that's beautiful. Thank you. And I wish I could be at the Parliament of Religions to see your presentations, to see everyone's. But thank you so much for the joy you brought with you today. And I hope most of us check out Charlotte's website and her work in the future.